Hello and welcome to this tutorial for LEGO Harry Potter Years 1 through 4. In this video we are doing the level 2-6, the final level in Year 2. So this level starts off incredibly simple. Player 2 or Player 1, it doesn't really matter. You need both of them dropped in, but one of them needs to make their way to the door and then goes through the door. You want to set Player 2 onto Lumos, because then we'll do this DADA jump again, which I have explained before. So you get up here, and then kind of either spin around and buffer a jump, like so, or run forwards, drop inputs, and then like quickly hit the input again. Either way works, but when you get up, go through this door here, and then make your way into 2-6 itself. Now, this first part of 2-6 has a trick which used to be incredibly difficult, but has now been made a lot simpler. So it used to be that you'd have to jump up kind of this side of this cubicle here while 1P2Cing, and then jump across to be able to put scabbers down. But we actually have a much easier way of doing it now. That way is still faster by like 0.5 of a second, but it's really not worth it now. What you can do instead is bring Harry on Wingardium Leviosa, Ron on the pet spell, and just target Ron with Harry. And Ron will float up here. The only reason this works is because the Z coordinate of this room is up where Ron is right now. It's on the upper level, which means when you do the lifting spell, it doesn't normally give you any extra height, but in this room and a couple of other rooms it does. And then once you're up here, put the pet down with Ron and go onto the button. What you can do with Ron, if you're trying to push it a little bit more, is you can kind of get scabbers in this forced running state by not holding up when you're in the pipe. If you're holding more right than up when you're in the pipe, you'll never get into the forced kind of crawling state that scabbers usually gets. And having this running state is faster by about 2 seconds. Harry will then drop down this. A small camera pan starts, and then if you want to do a bit of 1P2C here, what you can do is Harry will move here and activate Lumos, and then Scabbers just goes and pushes this button here. That's a tiny optimization and will mean that hopefully Harry will activate the vines in the camera pan. Like so. And then Scabbers is going to run up here. Again, if you just hold right here, Scabbers will get into the forced running animation, and then you can jump with Scabbers to be able to break out. And you kind of just repeat the same thing, using Lumos on one thing, then Wingardium Leviosa on another thing. And then recall the pet once you've hit that last button, and kind of jump down left with Ron. And what that will do is just move Ron a bit closer to this cabinet, which you need to use Wingardium Leviosa on. So we use Wingardium Leviosa here with Ron, and then you can literally just hold down the build button the entire time. You don't need to worry about like repressing it or anything. What you can do when it gets to the end of the build is switch to the pet spell again, switch back to Scabbers, and then what you've got to do is jump on this and take it over to where Harry is standing. And we got one last trick in this room, and that is to do a pet warp. But you need to hold forwards on the pet warp, like so. So it's putting the pet down as Ron is being targeted by Wingardium Leviosa, and you need to hold forwards with the pet, and Scabbers will end up in about this position. This snake thing here, this parcel tongue thing, you can't just mash on the button here for it to work. You actually need to wait for the snake's head to pop out, then you can activate it. Otherwise the snake doesn't accept your inputs, which is quite annoying, but it does happen. What putting Scabbers on top of the cubicle does is it means he falls down in that camera pan. That actually saves a surprising amount of time. It saves like 5 or 6 seconds. And then what you do in this room with player 2, come over here, activate Lumos, Lumos jump up here, and then this is one of the weirder jumps in the game. It's an edge jump. But you can't exactly see where you're going because of the camera, but you want to go kind of down right, and then again it's a buffer jump. And there's kind of some collision you can stand on, but it's quite weird as to what you can and can't stand on. It takes a lot of feel to be able to get used to it. So yeah, you can basically land anywhere around this area and get a buffer jump, and then be able to come up. And then pull this snake down, jump up, and we go into the basilisk fight itself. So, in this section, I'm going to go through the new method of doing this. It's a relatively new method, 1P2C, to do this, which saves a few seconds over the old method, which is a bit more casual. But, yeah, basically what we can do is we can interrupt one of the basilisk animations on one of the hits, which is quite useful. But what we do to start with is we go over to the left in any percent now. So going over to the left, shoot the basilisk once the eyes are pointed, and we stay here with player 2. And we do what we need to do with player 2 on this side, which is getting the item, picking it up, and then moving over. But most importantly here, you notice where P1 is. P1 is in the water at the moment. And what we're going to do is make sure that the basilisk will target player 1. But if they get hit, or if the basilisk gets hit while player 1 is in the water, then what you can do is actually shoot the the basilisk will then break the rocks, which is what is needed to basically do the cycle. But the basilisk will then immediately be able to do another set of rocks. So it saves a little bit of time that way. Basically, it's just animation interrupting. It's a semi-precise spot to position Harry. This is the important thing. Like, Harry's positioning is important. Anywhere around this kind of area is good. This one, actually doing it, we have quite a wide area to be able to aim for, which does help. But then, once you see the basilisk targeting on the rocks, you can shoot it with Ginny. And then jump back up to the surface with Harry. And then you can do the last set of rocks straight away. Harry then does this parcel tongue, and Ginny does these rocks. So this is a decent bit of 1P2C to do, but it's actually quite simple for what you need to do. Ginny will then once again drink the potion, and do an animation cancel by holding Y again to pull out the spell wheel. And then what we're going to do is Ginny is going to use the strength handle, and we want Harry positioned about here and just shooting. Because when we pull the strength handle, there'll be a short cutscene which we can skip, and then the basilisk needs to get damaged immediately after. And if we're shooting with Harry, kind of in that bit before, there's a chance the basilisk will be damaged while we're kind of doing that, which is very useful. What we do now then depends on if you're playing 1 through 7 collection or if you're playing on the original version. If you're playing on 1 through 7 collection, you basically want to put down this kind of pipe up here by using Wingardium Leviosa with both Ginny and Harry, and then jump through the pipe. If you're playing on the original version, more specifically the PC version, you can do this, which is what I'll show. Changing video settings to VSync off, accepting that, and then you can just jump up here, and then you kind of want to just tap left and spam jump, and eventually, hopefully, the game will warp us up to the top level, like so. It's quite a weird trick to be able to understand, but yeah, basically all it is just jumping, spamming jump. We got that really quick. But yeah, spamming jump in this area, and eventually, if the game likes you, you'll warp up. It's not normally this slow, it has to be said. There we go. You can only do that consistently on VSync off though, rather than VSync on. It's not a high FPS trick, but it does require you to be on VSync off. Once you're here, use magic on the hat, and then what I tend to do is change the VSync back to on here. You can do it a bit later if you want, but I find that that's the best spot to do it. And then use this, and one more thing to explain. If you are playing an any percent run, or an all Hogwarts students in power run, but mainly if you're doing an any percent run, you need to do this next thing, because this is what allows us to level skip the level 3-1. And what you do is we do what's known as a CSS. If you're doing any other category, you don't need to watch this. But doing what's known as a CSS, which is a cutscene skip. And the way you want to do this is you want to get a frame-perfect pause on the very first frame that this cutscene starts. And if you do that, then you exit to Hogwarts and complete the level. I'm going to try and show this now. So what you want to do is react to when the sword is swinging. So the sword will swing forwards like that, and then you can start kind of pause buffering to be able to get the frame-perfect cutscene skip. The way to do this on PC is to Alt-Tab out the game, hold down the A button, Alt-Tab back in, release the A button, and hold the Start button, and repeat. And there we go, we get the frame-perfect pause, at which point you'll return to Hogwarts, and that is the level complete. That's necessary for any percent. If you're playing any other category, you just let it resolve normally. But yeah, I'm now going to show what that level looks like if you do it a little bit faster. Okay, so doing this level again, but faster this time. First thing first, make our way with Ron over here. And go through this door. DADA jump. There we go. Took a couple of attempts, but that's fine. And then the way we want to do this 1P2C is we want to make Ron go up first. So target Ron. You can also jump with Ron kind of as he's going up, which gives a little bit more height. Ron has warped down, which does happen. Bit annoying, but it does happen. It just means he was like right on the edge when he was trying to put his pet down. But that's okay. Harry should be in a good position here to be able to use Lumos. There we go. And I'm going to try and keep the running state with Scabbers here by jumping in this next like little bend here. Yeah, so we can jump up to that next level, and that means Scabbers stays running rather than in the slower kind of crawling state. Okay, Ron got stuck up there, which I've never seen happen before, but that's fine. Ron then goes down here and uses Wingardium Leviosa on this. So once you're about halfway through this build, you can actually switch spell. So I switch spell now to the pet, just so then you can immediately do the pet warp once the plunger is in place. Cool. And then with Scabbers in place, drop down. Yeah, Scabbers will drop down here during this camera pan. And using player 2 here, you can use player 1, it doesn't matter too much. I just use player 2 because there's no difference when you're on double controller. Up here, and then into the boss fight. So this is all about getting Harry in the right kind of place. But even though we have to wait for the last ingredient, this is definitely faster doing it this way. I'm going to shoot with Harry here, but I'm going to stop just as Ginny starts pulling the strength handle, and hopefully that gives us a quick hit in the next phase. It doesn't quite, which is kind of annoying. It gives us a hit eventually, but probably not as quick as I would have liked. Okay, so we got the warp. Okay, the hit just didn't want to work first time. We got the warp really quick there though, which is always a good sign. So Harry's now in a position to jump up here. And this should work, hopefully. And we'll try and get the cutscene skip as well, just to show it all off. Okay, there we go. So that is how to do the level 2-6 in any percent. Of course, in no levels only, you don't need to do that last bit. If you do that last bit, it's really bad. Because you're then soft-locked out of being able to complete every level, and you're soft-locked out of 100% by doing it. But yeah, that's kind of all there is to it. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.